equity trading technology has come a long way. We started out with basically direct DMA to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. We migrated to order management systems. We created execution management platforms. We created suites of algorithms. We're now into a new set of developments for trading technology. And with me to discuss this is Michael Chin, CEO of Mantara. Mike, welcome to Tabb Forum.
Well, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
That's great. So to a certain extent, well, not even to a certain extent, you guys just bought UNX.
Yes, we did.
Why don't you talk to me a little bit about why you bought UNX? UNX has been around for a dozen or so years.
Yep.
What made it interesting acquisition, and why should this be interesting to the community?
Sure. UNX had been around, as you mentioned, for many, many years. It went through about 3 years ago a sort of resurgence in developing some new technology and things that I felt were extremely unique and innovative to the marketplace. And it spent 3 long, hard years putting together a new sort of way of distributing technology. And
so what was so different about the way UNX rebuilt their infrastructure?
It did it on the basis of something that's very familiar to the consumer today, and that is the concept of an app store. Mm-hmm. And with that, it revolutionized, at least within its own sort of world, a way of being able to allow vendors, services, brokers, even buy sides to be able to come together and choose exactly what type of services and tools that they would want to include as part of their trading platform, and design that themselves and be able to build a very custom tool set and trading platform that was going to be used for whatever way that they wanted to trade and whatever services they wanted to use. And that's very exciting to me.
So it's no longer I get this big disk where the software implemented on my machine and I'm kind of locked into this very rigid infrastructure?
No, it's no longer about being closed and as you said, isolated into sort of what you're given.
Let me take a look at kind of what you're talking about here.
Sure. So what you see on your screen is exactly what I was referring to, and that is the marketplace, which is the first financial app store, for lack of a better way of describing it, to the market, and to Mantara, which is the company that.
So I can go to Mantara, download the app store, and then all of a sudden, download trading apps onto my screen?
Absolutely. So you have the choice of downloading an EMS. And actually then building within that EMS the access to whatever brokers, algos, research or analytics that you want to include there, which also includes, by the way, the Mantara Expressway services, which is our low latency connectivity and risk.
So why don't we take a look at the EMS? So this isn't just kind of a real superficial, lightweight kind of EMS. This is a real EMS.
This is a real EMS. It's an EMS from the perspective of the traditional EMSs that have access to the traditional broker routes. It's an EMS that is different in that it has access to Mantara's ultra-low latency connectivity and risk.
So if I'm set up in California, my orders aren't going from California to New York back and forth.
Oh, no. The EMS and its functionality, the hardware, the infrastructure of the EMS are housed here in the Jersey City, Jersey area, where all the data centers are, where they're the closest to the various venues that clients would want to access.
So this is a co-located cloud kind of infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
So one of the compelling things from Mantara's perspective to combining forces with UNX was exactly the fact that our infrastructures crossed. So there was an enormous sort of synergy opportunity to bring together the infrastructure that Catalyst and UNX used to reach the markets along to Mantara's low latency infrastructure. So effectively getting rid of the entire back end of UNX and integrating it to Mantara's back end.
So basically you've got a brand new, completely renovated or completely restructured or rebuilt EMS sitting on the low latency Mantara backbone.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
Interesting. One of the other things we were talking about a little is, and I think you mentioned it kind of briefly, is the whole idea of trying to integrate other solutions and kind of keeping this an open infrastructure.
Yep. So one new thing that we've decided, and once again, just based upon watching the evolution of EMSs over the past 12 years, is that clients are asking to really have access to best of breed functionality, and that includes access to futures EMSs, to FX EMSs, where there are actual sort of very specific reasons that clients want to use these, whether it's functionality, the look and feel, the coverage of liquidity. So in our world, you can actually embed one of these EMSs actually into that Catalyst screen that you were seeing.
So I can take like a futures EMS, put it into the Catalyst infrastructure,
Yep.
and in effect look like not a Mantara or not a UNX EMS, but have it look like this third-party vendor app and perform and supported by the third party.
Yep.
But kind of then leveraging the Mantara distribution and back end and risk management. And
that's exactly right. So where it makes sense to differentiate, that's where we'll differentiate, meaning the actual GUI, the look and feel of that particular EMS. But where it makes sense to aggregate across the order blotters, across risk, positions, that's where we're going to aggregate.
So do you really think that a third-party vendor is going to say, Mike, I need to get into your infrastructure? We want to use you as a distribution platform. Wouldn't that kind of undercut a lot of what a third-party vendor is trying to do?
I think in the old days it would have, where people all felt that they had to own completely the desktop of the client, where they had to keep other EMSs out. But I think in today's environment, where people are looking for partnerships, are looking for ways to cut down on costs and to partner in ways which they can redistribute their technology, I think it's a very different environment
So
today.
it really changes kind of the game plan of how people get to the client. So you're going to, you'll be kind of the distribution platform, but they'll be kind of almost like a research content provider
Exactly.
in a research platform.
Yep.
But in effect, it'll be a trading infrastructure.
That's right. And once again, going back to what people are familiar with, what has caught on with respect to Apple sort of revolutionizing the way of distributing apps through their app store, the financial markets are calling out for the same thing.
Really interesting. And to a certain extent, I want to talk a little bit about the business model to a certain extent. So I assume it's going to be lighter weight, easier to deploy, easier to integrate, cheaper.
Yep. And it comes with an API, an SDK, by which the vendor can use as a guideline to be able to understand how to connect into our app or into our Catalyst framework. And sooner or later, we expect that, as today we're helping with them and helping them, do those connections. I think sooner or later, if we've gained the success that I believe we will, it will become something that people will actually know how to do on their own. And so, similar to, once again, the Apple model, people will just take that SDK, they'll have resources that will know how to develop to it, and we'll be able to limit the amount of resources that we actually have to put and commit to it. So I think it's just going to be something that will be sort of self-sustaining. And as you said, what we're really looking to do is to become a distributor, a mechanism by which clients can scale and receive access to multiple sources of services and products.
Now, are you partnered with any major organizations to try and help extend their algos, like any of the big brokers?
Oh, yeah. Many of the big brokers, in fact, all of them.
Oh, okay.
And some of them are now starting to go to the next level of functionality, getting away from the HTML sort of XML format and actually wanting to do exactly what we do, and that is to have the brokers control the look and feel of their algos, and to be able to do that through an application and an SDK type of setup that we have.
So me as a broker, I can customize my interface that I can then distribute through Catalyst and Mantara that shows up on my client's screen exactly kind of the way
That's exactly
I want it to
right.
do?
Yep. And so it's a whole new sort of change from the days where people wanted to have the look and feel of the algos somewhat consistent across all brokers. Now brokers are sort of going into the next level and saying, look, we actually want to make ours look different, and we want to have the control of both the custom algos that we're distributing to the clients and the control of the exact look and feel.
So does this change kind of the traditional EMS OMS the market?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the OMS, I think that more and more functionality that OMS have traditionally provided that now are available through the cloud, such as compliance, NAV calculations, things along that lines, I think are definitely blurring those lines. And the more of those types of providers that provide that functionality through a cloud, I think you can sooner or later see showing up within our Catalyst framework. And does that mean that the OMS is going to be sort of marginalized? Not quite sure, but I am sure that there will be more functionality available that can be plugged into the EMS functionality that used to not be available in that format.
So the game is going to change.
Oh, absolutely.
That's great. So I guess to a certain extent, I guess we'll put in a plug here. Can I just download this thing?
Yeah, you can, and you can actually see Tabb forms show up as one of the apps.
Oh, great. Cool. How do I download it?
You just go to our website, Mantara.com, and it's available for download. It comes in with a certain number of apps that are available, and if something interests you, you click on it. It gives you a description of that app and contact information which you can actually get connected.
Great. So here you heard it. Get your Tabb forum information from UNX Mantara at Catalyst. I'm just kidding. Thanks everybody. We'll end it there. I want to thank Michael Chin, CEO of Mantara, for coming in and talking to us about the next generation trading platform. Thank you for joining us. I'm Larry Tabb, founder and CEO of Tabb Group, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you.